All right, thanks for tuning in to more NFL talk on the OFN Today for this Thursday, the 13th of December, 2018, as the NFL's final 3 weeks begin tonight in Kansas City. Huge AFC West showdown with the Chargers. Ted Sevransky of Covers.com and I will preview that game and much more with analysis, updated odds, trends, injury news, and picks as the OFN Today starts now. All right, this edition of the OFN Today is brought to you by ourlads.com and Covers.com. Covers.com features live scores, stats, and odds, and is considered the most convenient, entertaining source for sports news and facts. With over 45 million visits a year, and this is no better time to navigate through Covers than now, with the college football bowl season beginning on Saturday. Dave Koken and I from Covers.com covered the 5 games on Saturday. Mark Lawrence will be with me from Covers.com tomorrow here on the OFN Today. He has his entire bowl guide out, so we changed his day from Wednesday to Friday to make sure the guide was out. You know, I can kind of get into that guide myself. I'll have all of my picks ready to go probably the next hour or two before OFN College Football Weekly. That airs at about 4:30 today with Mitch Light from Athlon Sports. So I'll have that in the books. Mitch and I will give our picks, best bets, upsets, all that kind of stuff. So I'm about 75% through all of my trends and bowl analysis. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But let's talk NFL with Teddy Covers from Las Vegas, site of the MLB Winter Meetings. To get into that, Teddy.
It's the site of the 2020 NFL Draft, which I'm kind of excited about because, when you think back even 3 years ago, that was inconceivable.
Sure.
Inconceivable that the NFL would hold an event like that here. So to say, the NFL Draft's in Vegas in 2020, that's awesome.
Yeah, and is that the year? Is that the draft just before the Raiders are there?
Yes.
Okay, that's very cool. Cool.
Yes, and of course they put out odds yesterday on where the Raiders are going to play next year.
Oh, why? Are they really having that many problems in Oakland?
There's no way. They're in the lawsuits now with Oakland, multiple lawsuits. So the Raiders, it's looking less and less likely they're going to play in Oakland. But there are literally no good options for where Oakland's going to play next year. It's a big cluster right now.
Interesting.
For the Raiders. But, they're bettable odds on those. You can find them around town.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of stadiums. I guess there are options, whether they're good options
No, there are bad options.
Yeah, bad options.
They're talking about playing at the Q in San Diego. The one that wasn't good enough for the Chargers. They're talking about playing at Sam Boyd Stadium here in. I mean, that's not realistically going to happen. But Sam Boyd Stadium, which would need $100 million in upgrades just to have an NFL team play there for 1 year, not going to happen. They were talking about Reno as a possibility, playing at the UNR Stadium. They're talking about. St. Louis was a number. Dude, craziness, dude. Phoenix, I don't know. No idea where the Raiders are going to play next year.
Well, I guess I get that news gets them excited about something. If you're a Raider fan,
bettable odds. Anything with bettable odds on, people are excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we'll see how Derek Carr continues to play over the next few weeks because this is his first year with Gruden, and look, he's looked a little bit better. And that's important because the Raiders are going to be in a position, whether they have the first pick or not, with all of their draft picks, that if Justin Herbert decides he wants to come out, the Raiders will get him. So they just have to make that decision. And these next several games, if Carr continues to develop a good relationship with Gruden, then maybe Gruden decides to bypass the quarterback position. But that's going to be a big decision that Gruden's going to have to make because if you get an opportunity to get a kid like Justin Herbert and you decide I'm going with Derek Carr and then Derek Carr flops and Herbert becomes a star, I'm not so sure that's a decision you want to be skipping on.
Well, if the Raiders get the number one, I would be very surprised to see Oakland take the quarterback route. If they get the number one pick, I think it's much more likely to see the Raiders trade down and try to get multiple first-round picks.
Even more picks. Sure, why not? I mean, look, the one thing is this is going to be a great draft for pass rushers. So
Oakland, I mean, when you look at what Oakland has, I mean, they need everything.
Yeah, sure.
It's not like there's one. If we get two guys that's going to fill the holes in this roster. I mean, the Raiders need help.
Well, what do you think about Derek Carr?
On both sides of the football.
I mean, do you think Derek Carr can be successful in the NFL with everything else surrounding him?
If you're looking at the next, let's just say the next 3 years, because Gruden doesn't have patience forever. The Raiders can't be bad forever. I take Carr over any college quarterback coming out this year.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be what. I don't think there's any question in my mind that Herbert's going to come out. I mean, why would you stay at Oregon another year? As bad as the coaching is there, I mean, he's already been there just 1 year since Taggart's gone, and his stats have gone down completely. And then they're not well coached, so you're better off leaving. You're going to be the first pick in the draft. And like you said, maybe there's another team that wants a quarterback, and the Raiders can go, okay, come up here and get him. We want Derek Carr, and we'll slip to 4 or 5 or 7 or 8. You go ahead and take Justin Herbert, and we'll get more picks.
Well, it's very, very early for NFL draft talk, but it's really fascinating when you look at the top of the draft. Most of the teams don't have quarterback issues.
Sure.
I mean, when you look at the worst teams in the NFL this year, 49ers don't have a QB issue. They got their QB. Arizona's got a QB. Atlanta's got a QB. Detroit's got a QB. That's the worst 4 teams in the NFC. The Raiders have a QB. The Jets have a QB. The Bills have a QB. That's 3 of the 4 worst teams in the AFC. Maybe the Jaguars. That's the one.
That's true. Jags. Giants keep screwing up their draft position for a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, that is what they do. All right, so we got a big game tonight. Chargers, Kansas City. Not sure if Melvin Gordon is going to play. The odds are he's not. Right now it appears to be a game-time decision. That's a big blow. Now, we talked about Justin Jackson. He's a nice little back, but he's not Melvin Gordon. That puts everything on the shoulders of Phillip Rivers, who had a big statistical game against the Chiefs earlier this year, because historically he doesn't play well against the Chiefs because the Chiefs have beaten the Chargers 9 straight times. So, I don't know. I mean, Chiefs haven't exactly been playing all that great the last couple of weeks since the whole Hunt thing, but they've won, and they're 0-3-1 ATS in the last 4. They're still a 3.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, and of course Kansas City's going to be at least 3.5 here. It looked like the market might move to 3, but it didn't go there. And of course, the Thursday night teams have had such problems in terms of getting ready, being ready, bringing their A game with travel. It takes a big leap of faith to play on any Thursday night team. All that being said, you want a bad track record? How about this?
Okay.
For a little point spread trend and angle.
All righty.
All right. There
Ready
have been 22 previous Thursday games.
Okay.
Involving teams that played in overtime.
The previous week. Got it.
Yes. Of those 22 Thursday games, the team that played in overtime has covered 3 of them.
19 and 3.
I got 18,
3 and 19.
3, 18 and 1.
3, 18 and 1. 3, 18
That's
and 1.
Kansas City this week, of course, coming off the overtime win over Baltimore. So that's certainly not a good subset to be involved with on the Kansas City side of the equation.
Okay.
And let me make this very clear. All right, the Chiefs' offense is not a plug-and-play offense. This isn't the Saints' offense, right? It doesn't seem to matter who they have as a receiver. The Saints' offense is what it is. The Chiefs' offense is predicated on the ability of having elite playmakers all over the field and a quarterback who can get the ball into their hands.
Mm-hmm.
The elite playmakers are gone right now. I mean, I know Kareem Hunt gone, Sammy Watkins out, Tyreek Hill, they say he's going to play tonight. If you watched him limp off the field 8 times on Sunday,
why would you
wonder
play
how
him?
Effective he's going to be.
Yeah, why would you play him, yeah?
Well, you're playing him because you're trying to clinch the division title. But if you have bigger fish to fry, I don't know that Tyreek Hill is going to be your A game. And you look at it, it's Travis Kelce. Oh, by the way, you look at Kelce's track record against the Chargers. You don't want him in fantasy tonight. San Diego's done, or LA's done a great job. He's had single-digit receiving yards 3 of the last 4 meetings. They held the 1 catch in week 1. And you say, all right, who do they have? They're going to fill in these. Oh, Kelvin Benjamin's he's been cut from 2 different teams already this year. KC's lacks the playmakers that have made them special right now.
Did they pick him up?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But that's what they're looking at now. They're looking at absolute scrap heap guys and saying, oh, this offense is still going to work the same way. I don't know that I buy that. I'm worried about KC moving forward. That team has achieved what they're, in my opinion, they've achieved what they're going to achieve.
I hear you.
And the future for Kansas City is downside.
Yeah, they do. The only plus is they do get Eric Berry back, I guess, tonight.
Yeah, he's supposed to play limited role, and from an emotional standpoint, that's enormous.
Yes.
He is absolutely an emotional leader on that team.
Yeah.
From a on the field standpoint, I don't know that Eric Berry's going to make a big difference.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs won the game by 3 and the Chargers covered by a half point.
That works. That works for me.
Chargers are 3-0 straight up ATS in their last 3 on the road, including winning in Seattle and Pittsburgh. So the road hasn't been an issue for the Chargers, and I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that they're always on the road. So it's just a little bit warmer and a little bit more local to their homes when they play in that crappy stadium in L.A. Okay, so that's the game tonight. Let's go to the Saturday games. There's 2 games, and at least they're not crapola games. Houston, of course, is a playoff team taking on the Jets, and thank goodness for the networks are ecstatic that Sam Darnold's in and not Josh McCown. So Darnold came back, looked real good. Of course, being a Jet fan, I'm very excited about his progress. Once they get a real offensive coordinator to teach him how to play starting next year, he'll be even better. You know what? I got a feeling the Jets are going to play well. After the win last week with Darnold back, Houston being on the road, I'm still a little bit concerned with Deshaun Watson on the road as opposed to being at home. Last road game that they played was like November 18th in Washington, and that was the worst game I've seen Deshaun Watson play. They're also coming off their first loss after a 9-game winning streak. A lot of times in every sport, as you know, covering all sorts of sports, handicapping sports, it may not be a wise thing to go with a team with a big winning streak. They get it snapped. I personally like to avoid that next game with that team. Sometimes they're just not into it psychologically. Football a little bit different because there's only a certain amount of games, but just something to throw out there. And let's just keep this in mind, too. Jets have not quit since the Bills' disastrous game. They played Patriots tough. They should have beat Tennessee, and then they beat Buffalo last week. They're getting 6. This is one of those that I'm actually going to go ahead and take the dog to win the game outright.
If you're taking the dog to win outright, then I would tell you to slow your roll because this line's going to 7.
Okay.
It's already the 6.5s are out there already, and the leading indicator books are showing me 7s.
Okay.
For Houston right now, so I expect the broader market to move in that direction. Anytime you can catch +7 instead of +6, especially for a Texans team that does not win games by margin. This is not Houston's role. Even this season, during that 9-game winning streak, they have the wins. They won by 3 against Indy. Thanks to Frank Reich, they won by 3 against Dallas. They beat Buffalo by 7, didn't cover the spread there. They had a 2-point win over Denver. They had a 2-point win over Washington, didn't cover the spread there.
Yep.
They're not blowing teams out. They've been real good at grinding their way to victory. I am concerned about the Jets' injury situation here, and I know they got Darnold. And look, they were badly outplayed in Buffalo last week, and they played their guts out, and Darnold got hot down the stretch and made plays. But if they were playing a decent team and not the Bills, they'd have been down by 3 touchdowns by halftime. But, Buffalo settled for field goals and made mistakes and et cetera, et cetera. Quincy and Noon was not supposed to play this week, and when you look at the Jets, when Anderson and Noon and Darnold are on the field together, it's an offense that works. Noah Nunez this week, he's been downgraded out, and of course Isaiah Crowell injured as well for the Jets, leaving them without their top back. So I worry about the Jets coming off a big division, and it's been, New England and Buffalo and Tennessee and Buffalo again. And this isn't a game that, I would expect to hold their attention. So I'm not excited about the Houston side, but if you're taking the Jets, you're taking a leap of faith that the Texans aren't going to show up with their A game, because if the Texans do show up with their A game, the Jets will get pretty badly outclassed.
Yeah, actually, this is one of those where I'll use the Jets in a parlay to begin the parlay, go with the money line, small amount, and then pick a team pick another couple of games that I like or a game that I like. This way, if the Jets do go ahead and win, then I've got the team I like for a little bit of bonus. I don't have to put a whole lot on a straight number. So, but again, not a lot. By the way, I'm happy Crowell's out. Crowell should be cut when they decide the new roster, new coaching staff. McGuire, I think McGuire's he should be fine.
Yeah,
but they will miss Enunwa, no question. Because Curse, I don't know what's happened to him. I think he's given up, to tell you the truth, because he just has not looked good over the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, if you shop around, you can find as high as plus 275 right now.
Wow,
on the money line, prevailing number in the plus 240 or plus 250.
Interesting. Okay, it was 220 just about 24 hours ago, so that's going up. All right, let's get to the other game on Saturday night. Cleveland and Denver. Denver 3-point favorite at home. Now, it's interesting how quickly everybody just trashes someone and gets off any sort of bandwagon they might have been on. And look, I'm not no Vance Joseph backer. Let me just put it out there. Yes, bad loss to San Francisco at 6-6, trying to make the playoffs. I completely get that. But let's keep in mind, this is a team. You got to go all the way back to week 5 when they lost to the Jets, the last time Denver had a bad game. They went through a really good stretch. Even the losses were good losses. They are playing good teams, close. They had some nice wins. They get to 6-6. Everybody's thinking, wow. But yes, what happens? I don't think it's the coach in this spot. I think it's just the injuries. I mean, look, they lost Sanders. They lost Harris. It just didn't work. And sometimes, even if you just throw out the injuries, sometimes it's just, hey, since week 5, you're going to have a bad one, especially if it's on the road. I mean, it just happens to every team in the NFL. Look at the Saints. So I'm not worried about that. They're back home, nighttime, national TV and all that. I think even with the injuries, I think that they'll be able to respond defensively. Cleveland, Mayfield, yeah, they're hot. They've won 3 out of 4, but he is a rookie. I could see Denver's defense, Miller, Chubb, forcing maybe some turnovers if their DBs can hold on to the ball. Fact is, though, look, it's only a 3-point number. They're at home. It's a pretty even game. I'm going to go ahead and take Denver.
Yeah, I can certainly understand the case for the Broncos. I'm not involved in the game, so I'll make the case for the Browns.
Okay.
This is a very good one for Denver.
Sure.
Let's start with what's wrong with Denver. And the two biggest issues right now are at wide receiver and at cornerback.
Yep.
And in NFL 2018, what the two positions you don't want to have issues at are passing the football and defending the pass.
Uh-huh.
When you talk about the guy that they had, the rookie Isaac Yiadom came in to take over for Chris Harris, who's now on IR, out indefinitely. He's not on IR, but he's got a broken leg, so he's not coming back anytime soon. And now he's out. He's got a shoulder injury, separated shoulder. He's out this weekend. So I don't know who Denver's going to put in the cornerback role this week. It's when the backup rookie gets hurt after the former Pro Bowler is out, and you're scraping around who can you find.
Sure.
That's an issue against Baker Mayfield, who's been, let's call it what it was. He had a bad first half against Houston in the last road game.
He did.
Other than that, the last 4 weeks, Baker Mayfield's been a Pro Bowler, man. 76% completions? He had the 3 first-half interceptions against Houston, none in any of the other games, none in the second half of that game, and they might have well come back in the second half of that game if there weren't those 2 weird throws to Callaway that ended up producing no points, one on a penalty, one on a turnover at the goal line, and neither of which were Baker Mayfield's fault. And the handicap of Denver is really simple. When the Broncos can run Phillip Lindsay again and again,
that's right. Yep.
They can win.
Sure.
If you're asking Case Keenum to win you games and cover you point spreads, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because he can't do it, and the passing game isn't there for Denver. So, Cleveland's a team with the momentum. Cleveland's a team that's has the playmakers, and I worry about their defense. And the threes are gone. Basically, it's 2.5 out there. The markets have made a strong statement. They like the Browns. I don't disagree with that. I think Cleveland, from my power rating standpoint, Cleveland is better than Denver. And you look at those the big winning streak for the Broncos. What happened? They got lucky and stole one against the Chargers. They got lucky and stole one against the Steelers. And they beat the Bengals. I understand they beat some good teams, but I'm not sold on Denver. Denver's not a contender for anything. All right, they can make the playoffs. They can slip in with 6 seed. Yeah, maybe. I don't think they get there.
No, they're not going to the playoffs. I'll flip that over too with the schedule. Cleveland in those games that they've won 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
You mentioned the loss at Houston, which was a blowout. the wins, all three teams they beat, are all heading south.
Yeah.
So,
and the line value is not there with the Browns anymore. But you made a case for Denver. I forgot. To oblige our listeners to make
exactly.
A case for
There you go. Now,
and I did like Cleveland at 3.5 when the line opened. I did make a bet on the Browns. That was gone almost instantly, and then now it's down to 2.5. And I did not give it to my clients because they couldn't get the number that I got.
But I would agree with you. This isn't really a top game to take this week. No question about that. By the way, Patrick did look good. The young receiver, they needed him, but they need Cortland Sutton out there. So if they can get Sutton and Patrick out there, and Lindsey can run the football, then Denver has a shot. All right, let's go to the Sunday games, and let's first of all tell you what. Let's start with that Dallas Colt game because conflicting positive trends going up against each other. Cowboys are 5-0 straight up ATS last 5. Colts 6-1 last 7. Big win for the Colts last week. They're a 2.5 right around there. Favorite at home, 2.5, whatever, 3. I have taken the Cowboys the last 2 or 3 games, but I don't know. This is just a game where I think that now that the Cowboys are kind of like in cruise control, even if it's only a week in the NFC East, maybe that's just enough of them to go, And the Colts, who are really fighting for a playoff spot, Luck against Prescott. I'll take Luck any day of the week. I'll take the Colts in this one.
Yeah, me and you both. And when you look at Indy's, what Indy's been able to do defensively has been the biggest shocker for me. We knew Andrew Luck would be able to throw the football around. It might take him a month to get back in a rhythm, which it did. It took him, they started out 1-5. Luck's found his rhythm. We knew that Marlon Mack, in theory, would be able to run the football a little bit, and the running game hasn't really been there the last couple of weeks for Indy. But there was no surprise that the Colts' offense has been solid. The real surprise for Indy has been on the defensive side of the football, and where consistently, and they had a couple of bad games early. A stretch early against Houston, New England, and the Jets. 37, 38, 42. Since that time, it's been one strong effort after the next. Only one time in the last 5 weeks they got up 100 yards on the ground. That was a game they won against Miami. And only one time in the last 5 weeks they've given up even 250 yards passing. We've seen a pass rush, another 5 sacks last week from Indy. And Darius Leonard continues to lead the league in tackles. That guy's got to be Rookie of the Year. And I know he's not going to win it, which is really making me mad because he's been as good as any rookie in the NFL.
Yeah.
I've heard 18 different people tell me this week what a trap. Oh, it's a trap line. It's not a trap line.
What, 2.5?
The markets are that Dallas is catching 3.
Oh, okay.
Then the markets are the 2.5s are gone pretty much. It's pretty much 3 across the board right now here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Dallas is 3. It's a trap. It's a trap. How can the Cowboys be getting 3? Cowboys can be getting 3 because it's the mother of all bad spots for Dallas. Again, coming off the overtime game.
That's right.
Prior to that, they had against a division rival. Prior to that, the huge game against New Orleans down to the wire. Prior to that, Thanksgiving against the Redskins, divisional battle down to the wire, et cetera, et cetera.
That's right. Going on the road.
They cover on a missed extra point in that one.
Yep.
Last week they covered in overtime. It's after that stretch of 3 games, all at home, 2 against divisional opponents, 1 against New Orleans. This is the spot where Dallas is supposed to exhale, and the markets are reflecting that.
All right, let's move on to the next one, and let's talk about the Patriots and the Steelers. It seems like every year it's the Patriots and the Steelers. That's because it pretty much is. The last 4 years they've played, Patriots have won all 4, including the playoff win. They've actually won 5 straight overall against Pittsburgh. It's about a 1.5-point spread, too, something like that. Pitt has dropped 3 straight up ATS. I actually had the Raiders last week in a money line play, so I was real happy about that because, you could just tell what was going on in Pittsburgh. I'm not a big Tomlin guy. I'm just not. I'm not a basher. I'm just not. I don't think he's anything fantastic. I just don't like the way that they're not a very disciplined group. They're very easy to go in spurts where if they're in a bad streak, you can sense it. When they're on a good streak, you could also sense it. They're a very emotional team, positive, negative, and right now it's negative. and they got to face a team that they just don't have any luck against or ability, confidence-wise, and Connor may miss the game again. Patriots, meanwhile, are coming off that loss to the Dolphins. That's one of those games. I mean, you don't want to face the Patriots after a game like that. So I can take the Patriots, and basically all I got to do is win the game against Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm doing that.
Well, I'll give you some fodder for that. That will certainly be one of these trends and angles worth noting. This is one that I got from my friend Mark Lawrence.
Okay.
But with all of these trend stuff, I never take it at face value. I have to check it myself because there's so much garbage out there.
Okay.
This one I checked.
Okay.
All right. There have been 20 previous occasions where New England is coming off a loss and either catching points or laying a field goal or less since 2002. That's the parameters. Patriots off a loss, and they have to be underdogs or short favorites.
Like they are now?
Yes.
Okay.
20 times in the Belichick-Brady era since 2002. New England is 20-0 straight up against the spread.
Oh.
They've been good in this role.
Hold on a second. Let me find my credit card.
They've been good in this role, and it's worth noting. This line looked like it was going to 3 everywhere. It's not. There's wise guy support for Pittsburgh. Why? Well, the initial reason, Big Ben, now upgraded to probable with the rib concerns that kept him on. Did you see Tomlin's quote? That's why he left Dobbs in so long last week. Dobbs, who completed 4 passes for, 19 yards or 30 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, he was in good rhythm. What if you could find a rhythm?
Oh, my goodness.
No. And then, of course, Ben came in and led the game-tying drive, and then should have led the touchdown drive to tie it.
Why didn't he call a timeout on the Raiders' last drive?
All right, so there's a lot of debate on this. I know Twitter was going nuts on this.
Yeah, I haven't put in a whole lot of thought to it, and I didn't hear a whole lot on some of the TV shows that I watch while I'm working this week. So I figured, okay, let me ask you, why? Was there a reason?
The reason that the Twitterverse thought was because Tomlin's a clown.
Sure, of course. We know that. Okay.
I did not read anything to him talking about that after the game.
Okay.
I will say this. When I'm winning, I'm not calling timeouts.
Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, Belichick didn't call a timeout in the Super Bowl when Seattle was driving, and a lot of people were wondering why he didn't do that. So I've seen that. It's not like I haven't seen it. I have seen it. So that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the end of it. When I'm winning, I'm not going to preserve time for the other team.
Because obviously what could happen is you can get a pass interference and you can go first down again. And now I've got all this extra time because you call timeout.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's inexcusable. Oh, my God. I mean, Mike Tomlin takes a lot of heat because he's an African-American head coach. Don't tell me there's not some type of, latent racism going on Mike Tomlin. I don't see another coach take the heat that he takes. I do think there's a racial element there that people don't like him.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, the abuse he took. This is a Super Bowl winning coach.
You know what I think, and I saw a caption somewhere about it. I mean, I guess it was being talked about, and I noticed it because I actually thought about it myself just this past week. I don't know why I thought of it, but I just did, and that was the difference between Tomlin and McCarthy. Is they've both had these Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They've both been in the playoffs a lot. They've both just won 1 Super Bowl. What's the difference? Now that McCarthy's been fired, because I know Tomlin has had. There's been talk over the last couple of years about Tomlin possibly getting fired, just like McCarthy. Anyway,
there's a huge difference. McCarthy lost his locker room. Tomlin hasn't.
Yeah, Tomlin is definitely one of those guys. That is the difference. You're right, because of the fact that he is a player's coach. The players love him. He's that type of guy. And the difference is McCarthy is like an X's and O's guy that lost his locker room. Tomlin is not an X's and O's guy that has his locker room. So it is a difference. Oh, it's a different it's a different way of coaching. A lot of coaches are like that. Urban Meyer's like that. There's a lot of good coaches out there that aren't X's and O's guys, but they're really good coaches. They know how how to delegate authority, how to hire good assistants, how to run a show, be the CEO of the company, and that's what Tomlin has been. But sooner or later, this marriage is not going to last, especially if Big Ben retires.
Well, yeah, but quite possibly, but for the purposes of this game.
Yeah. Well, we both like the Patriots then anyway. So.
Well,
that is some trend
I'm
that
not
you'd be
going
going
to get involved
against.
in the game. Okay, I'll tell you flat out,
All
I'm
right.
not playing this 20. And if you,
no, I'm not doing it because of the trend. I mean, I had them before the trend anyway, but.
Yeah, let's not forget what happened on this field last year.
Oh yeah, sure. Pittsburgh should have won. I get it.
Where the Steelers score the winning touchdown, and the refs decide that it's not a touchdown, and New England gets the home field, and I lose my under Patriots season win bet on that call, and I mean, it was a hugely controversial call that cost Pittsburgh the game right at the end.
And changed the rules of football for 2018, which is why now we have offense, and more offense.
Yeah. So given New England gets more than their fair share of calls over the years, shall you say?
Yeah, sure.
Given the circumstances here, I would be worried that the Patriots will not get the calls this week. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, let's go to the next game, and we'll talk about I tell you what, let's talk about the Sunday night game, Philly and the Rams with Wentz, and it's tough to hear the news that Wentz has now got a back injury, and that could be really serious. So hopefully he'll be back next season. Nick Foles, at least now they still got Nick Foles, so we'll see how he reacts. See, I actually would have jumped all over the Rams this week if Carson Wentz was still there.
Yep.
But now with Nick Foles coming in, I'm a little bit afraid about what can actually happen on the field. So especially with the Rams 0-3-1 ATS last 4 at home. So it's a big number. I'll stay away from it.
If I'm playing, I'm laying. I want no part of Philly this week, but I would have much rather laid 8 or 9 against Carson Wentz than I would laying doubles.
Yes.
Against Nick Foles. But the game that stands out to me is the Saints game, where Philly went on the road and it was over in the first quarter.
That's right. I agree. Yeah, that was my first reaction too when I saw this game in Monday. I was like, I'm all over the Rams here. They're going to blow them out.
Well, I mean, it's an Eagles secondary that is still besieged with injuries.
I don't know.
I mean, and you don't know. I don't know who's going to play. Sidney Jones or Jordan Hicks. Tim Jernigan may not play this week. Avonte Maddox is out.
Yep.
And then obviously with Mills on IR and Darby on IR and on down the line with that the defensive backs. It is a injury-riddled Eagles defense that is clearly problematic. And it is absolutely the circle the wagons game for the Rams at home. Off the debacle on Sunday night against the Bears. And remember, they didn't play well in Detroit the previous week.
They didn't.
They got the win, they got the cover. They were not the right side. They got the money, so they were the right side in that sense. But it certainly wasn't an easy right side cash. And coming off a game in which the offense was completely shut down and nothing worked, and Goff looked like the worst rookie in the league, and so on and so on. The offensive line couldn't block. This is a statement game for the home team against the defending champs.
That's right.
National
TV again.
Sure, it's not a spot where I want any part of the road team.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No.
So the price isn't right. You're laying a premium, but if I'm playing, I'm laying. This is not Philly's going to circle the wagons here. Philly's last chance ended last week.
Yep.
With the overtime loss at Dallas. And, of course, we talked about, again, the overtime.
That's right.
The overtime teams off the overtime games that got to travel, they do not fare well. But certainly all this reflected in the current point spread.
Yep. And, look, we talked about this last week, too. The fact is that look, you might look at that game with the Bears and go, that could be an issue for the Rams, but it's not going to be because they're not going to have to worry about traveling in any cold weather stadiums in the playoffs.
No, that's the end of it.
That's it. Sure, they may have to play the Bears at home, and that's still a real good defense, but it's a big difference when you got to play a defense like that and it's cold as opposed to 70 degrees. It just
Especially when you're a team from L.A.
Yes. So, Again, the issues we saw last week at the Rams are the same issues that I still believe they have, which is why I can't back them to win the Super Bowl. They're just not ready in my mind. And McVay, what was he doing? Just completely avoiding the running game especially early in the game when it was apparent that Goff was doing nothing. I mean, just hand the ball off 2 of every 3. Goff was terrible in that football game. All right. Final game is the Monday night game, Saints and Carolina, and this is about a 6-point spread. And New Orleans still looking good, 11-1 last 12, 10-1 ATS last 11. They've beaten Panthers 3 straight, 4-5. It's the rematch because they haven't played yet. Rematch of the wild card playoff round last year, which was a good game. New Orleans, of course, winning the game. Panthers 0-5 straight up ATS last 5. But last 4 games have been decided by 7 or less. This is only the second home game for the Panthers since week 9. They're 3-0 straight up ATS. Last 3 is home dogs. I do think Carolina is going to circle the wagons here. I didn't like New Orleans at all last week. I mean, I was grateful that they covered because I had them. I thought they would rebound easily against the Bucs, and they struggled to cover that game against the woeful Bucs. Something's gone on with the Saints. I don't know if all of a sudden the Cowboys found something on film and the Bucs took advantage of it because the Saints offense has not looked good the last couple of weeks. I'm going to go ahead and take the Panthers to win the game.
All that being said, the Saints' defense has been great.
Mm-hmm.
You remember this defense beginning of the season? They gave up 48 to Tampa and got lit up by Cleveland week 2, and then they got lit up by Atlanta in week 3, and all that. Look at the last 5 weeks: 14-7, 17-13, 14.
Yep.
They're shutting everybody down, and that includes Carson Wentz. That includes Matt Ryan. That includes, and I know they lost to Dallas, but boy, we didn't see Zeke Elliott and Dak Prescott have big games there. And last week, they faced a Tampa team with the glass chin. And the one, Taysom Hill blocked the punt and it was ball game over, even though the Bucs were leading by 8 at the time. Tampa did not respond well to adversity at all in that ball game. That concerns me a lot as they travel to Baltimore this week. But the Saints did, and that's worth noting. That New Orleans, they were punched. They got punched around for 6 quarters. The bad game at Dallas and the first half last week at Tampa, and they came out of that kind of clicking on all cylinders, which is a positive sign moving forward. You want a trend that's meaningful? Here's another one for you.
Okay.
Ron Rivera catching +6 or more.
Okay.
Every single time he's been in that spot for the last 5 years, the game's gone over the total.
A little total on the show.
Which tells you that when Rivera knows that he's going to be in a game where he's facing a good, again, at +6 or higher, these are the games where they're underdogs.
Okay.
When he knows he's facing one of the team that can score, all of a sudden this offense starts getting into gear a little bit. And, the biggest issue for Carolina, their defense hasn't been good at any point of late, but their offense has been a problem as well. I've got numbers here based just on the last 5 weeks in terms of yardage differential, just pure yardage numbers. So you're taking out the full season-long stats and looking at what's happened since mid-November. The Panthers, number 8 offensively yardage, number 19 defensively, not ridiculously bad, not 0-5 straight up and against the spread bad.
Okay.
They've been unlucky, and Cam Newton has not played his best football.
No, he hasn't. No, he's missed some throws that they should have at least won one of those games if he would have made a couple throws.
Sure, and it all comes back to that 1 2-point conversion at Detroit, which is where the skid became a slide, and that obviously didn't work in their favor. But I'm expecting a shootout on Monday night. I think this game's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Okay,
and I would expect to see, even with the Saints' recent defensive improvement, and even with Carolina's mediocre numbers, we know how this coach wants to play these type of games. I definitely lean over for Monday night.
All right. Yeah, one of the things, as great as what's his name is, because I got McCarthy's name in my thing.
You got to give me a team.
The running back. No, Carolina, the running back, the little guy.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, as great as McCaffrey is, I think they use him too much. They need to spread their ball around more. And also when Cam's going back to pass, Dude, what game was it? It was a game a couple of weeks ago. It was the Cleveland game. And, they're trying to score in that last drive, and his main target on fourth down was Jarius Wright. Are you freaking kidding me? You've got even Funchess sometimes gets the ball too much, but you've got Samuel, you've got this kid now, DJ Moore, and you're throwing the ball to Jarius Wright? So anyway, hey,
I had Oklahoma City last night, all right, in NBA action. I got Russell Westbrook driving the lane for the tying layup, and then he decides, I don't want to shoot this. I'll send it out to Alex Abrinas for the potential game winner. It happens.
Yeah,
that's the point. Yeah,
okay. Let's see. I just want to quickly see if there's anything else here I want your thoughts on. Care about Tampa Bay going into cold weather in Baltimore?
I'm very concerned about the Bucs' mental state this week. From a matchup standpoint, I think Tampa matches up fairly well with Baltimore. From a recent stats standpoint, Tampa's in great shape against Baltimore. From reading the quotes out of that locker room after they choked, after they just fell apart last week, boy, I don't want any part of the Bucs this week. That is not, you have a lame duck head coach going to the cold off a game. And again, it wasn't like New Orleans did a bunch.
No.
There was one play. It was one block punt, and the Bucs had an absolute glass chin. They didn't fight thereafter, and that really worries me this week.
All right. Giants in Tennessee. Tennessee's got some injuries, and the Giants all of a sudden playing red-hot football. This is a real tough game to call. It should be an interesting
game. Trust the Giants laying points?
That's the thing I am a little bit concerned with. No question about it.
On my list of things that I trust, Giants laying points is not one of them.
I hear you.
I mean, again, they're coming off the ball. They just killed the Redskins. They covered -3.
Yeah.
I believe that's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time they've covered the favorite all year.
Okay. I just got this gut feeling that Minnesota is going to come out and just destroy Miami on Sunday. I just do. Miami's not a good road team. I think they had one of those miracle wins. Those are always hard to come back from the next week. And Minnesota coordinator change at home. I know they're 7-6, the Dolphins, and Kirk Cousins. We've talked about it all year. Doesn't beat those teams, but I don't consider Miami one of those teams anyway.
No, I mean, from a power rating standpoint, let me make this very, very clear. Of all the playoff contenders in both conferences, I've got Miami ranked as the lowest power-rated team of the bunch. And I cashed the Dolphins over 6.5 win ticket last week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I have no complaints. But Miami has been living on borrowed time, and of course, you want to talk about an impact player that's not getting any love. Xavier Howard, who is one of the NFL's leader. Does he lead the league in interceptions? And we had back-to-back games where he had 2 picks, and that's the only reason Miami won either one of them. He is very questionable this week at Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Green Bay, Chicago. I'm kind of torn in this one because of the fact that Green Bay has dominated the series, yet Chicago is the touchdown favorite. I'm always afraid of taking the heavy favorite against a team that they can't beat over the year, especially a rivalry. But I get the feeling that this is one of those weeks where the Bears might be like, oh, finally we get the Packers right where we want them. We're going to make them pay. So I'm kind of I'm conflicted on this game.
Yeah, I got a great quote from Aaron Rodgers after last week's game, and of course I can't find it right now, but it essentially said, we're not done yet. We haven't given up yet. And when you look at the NFC playoff picture,
no, they're not.
And again, you don't want to put too much ahead of the curve here.
Sure.
But you look at the NFC playoff picture right now, and you're going to see Green Bay way down in the standings. But you're not going to see them that far down in terms of how many games they're behind. They're number 10 right now.
Yeah.
Ahead of them, Minnesota at 6-6-1, Carolina at 6-7, Philly at 6-7, Washington at 6-7. Washington stinks, Philly stinks, Carolina's a dog this week, Minnesota we don't trust. Green Bay's live to do something.
That's true.
And I think they know it.
Yep. No, absolutely. That's why I was looking at that game and going, Green Bay is probably not a bad money line play this week with Aaron Rodgers. They always beat the Bears. They're a heavy dog. But then, that's what I'm saying. And then I'm thinking, well, I mean, I could see Chicago killing them, though. So that's I'm conflicted. But
the next game that Mitch Trubisky outplays Aaron Rodgers, you let me know, because I get to see a game like that.
I hear you. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Mark Sanchez.
A little bit, sure.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, that's a really good. And again, Sanchez took the Jets to the AFC Championship game in each of his first 2 years.
Yep.
He won multiple road playoff games.
That's right. And they almost won, and they were winning. They were beating the Colts at halftime of the championship game, and they were winning that season because they had the two running backs. And the one guy, which was the important guy, and I can't even remember his name now, but he was a big guy. He was a physical guy, and he got hurt, and he was not available for the second half. Jets had no offense. Colts won, and that was it. But anyway, those are the sad stories that you remember as a Jet fan.
Sure, as a Jets fan, you have nothing but sad stories.
Yes. And last one, Seattle as a dominant winning of 10 straight against San Francisco. Are you worried at all about the Monday night game on the road, quick rematch, killed them a couple of weeks ago? Because this one's only 4. It's kind of gone down. And I'm like, why shouldn't I be all over Seattle? And I've loved Seattle the last few weeks. I'm still taking them this week, but I'm wondering if this is one of those like trends that might be hidden somewhere that I'm not thinking about.
No, I'm very surprised by the amount of betting market support that the 49ers have gotten this week. And again, they're not trying to win games, okay? Shanahan is a coach who understands, hey, the number one pick is worth something.
He did it last year until his quarterback got hurt, Beathard.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't understand the market. And there's been a fair bit of market support for San Fran this week. There's 3.5s out there right now. The Seahawks, in theory, should be able to just hand the football off.
They should, yeah. They killed him 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's why I was wondering. Are there any like hidden trends of all that whole thing I just mentioned that I haven't. This is probably a Mark Lawrence special. I had to take a look at his playbook to see if he's got something in there. But yeah, it looks like a one that probably is pretty solid with Seattle. I mean, why wouldn't I take them? They're red hot. They played great football the last couple of months.
And the money is coming the other way and fairly heavily. So
yeah.
You're certainly getting the best of the number right now in a way that you wouldn't have been able to do earlier in the week. And I don't even see what, like, I don't understand the San Fran money.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
well, there you go.
I guess we have some linebacker injuries.
Who, Seattle, you mean, with
Seattle,
KJ Wright?
Kendrick's on IR. Wright's not going to play this week, or doubtful this week. But
nothing
that tells me that Seattle's not going to be able to shut down San Fran.
Yeah, it's got to be something. There's got to be something in there. Like I said, there's probably a Mark Lawrence special trend in there that we haven't seen.
Yeah, and I'll take the under 203 yards from Greg Kittle this week as well.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's not going to.
Or the first half, I should say.
Yeah, the first half. Okay, yeah.
Kittle had that in the first half, and they didn't throw him in the second half.
Yeah, so he never broke the record then.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
He was what, 8 yards away?
Yes.
Throw the ball. Give it a 10-yard pass, will you? Just let him break the record. I guess not. So, Sharp's got the record still, right? I guess. I think.
Yes.
All right, Ted, appreciate it as always. Great job next week. We will be 2 weeks to go before the playoffs. The bowl season will be underway, so you've got your bowl picks all ready to go too, right? So anybody wants to reach you via covers.com, you're all ready to go for the bowl season, or at least for the first bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have everything posted right now, but I am absolutely ready for bowl season. We'll be posting. One thing that I don't like to do is post stuff way in advance, and then the numbers get stale, and people complain, "Oh, you released this at +10, and it's only +7." So for bowl season, I tend to put them up 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time, not 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm locked and loaded, man. I'm looking forward. Bowl season was real good last year. I've had some real good bowl seasons over the years, and there's certainly a good handful of opportunities that have definitely stand out to me.
All right, Ted, enjoy the football. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Teddy Sevransky, a.k.a. Teddy Covers, here on the OFN Today. We've got our OFN College Football Weekly show coming up a little bit later on. And I wanted to get all this NFL stuff out of the way because we won't be talking NFL tomorrow with Mark Lawrence. Mark's, again, he's going to have his playbook college football bowl, I guess you would call it, package available. So that is something that you definitely want to check out. A great marketing, a great handicapping tool before the bowl season begins. But anyway, we're going to go over a lot of this stuff on OFN College Football Weekly. Like I said, I'm going to have all of the trends, bowl trends that I've done my own research on. So I'm pretty. I've got a lot of good stuff to convey to you guys on OFN College Football Weekly, and we'll do that with Mitch Light from Athlon Sports. So that's coming up a little bit later on, and then again, OFN Today tomorrow. Also, real soon, Dan Shanka will be joining me at some point, either tomorrow or next week, as we gear up for the first show of the 2019 NFL Draft. So good time to do it with all the bowl games. You can take a look at all these players that, or at least some of them, that won't be skipping these games for the draft. Also tomorrow, our Mountain West Conference football report with Robert Gagliardi will kick things off in the morning. Robert and I will preview the Mountain West Conference college football bowl season as well. So that's coming up tomorrow right here on the Our Lads Football Radio Network. For Ted Sevransky, I'm Greg DePalma, Alpha Mike Foxtrot.